Amina Buddafly tells Rich Dollaz about the moment she knew it was over between her and Peter Pankey.
Physical element came into it. I would write songs about it and So, but I needed to go through everything I went through with him, and I don't have any regrets. I'm thankful for everything he put me through, even though it sounds so bad and reversed. But without that, I would not be the woman I am today. Without that, I wouldn't have, some people say you don't need to, in order to become strong, you don't need to hurt. But I mean, tell me one thing that makes you strong that isn't painful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's for me. I needed to go through everything. And so at the end of the day, it's all good. It was in the moment. It was really bad. I was really not healthy and not happy. And I really needed to get out. And I ended up doing it on my own when I had enough, when enough was enough for me. And that not when other people told me it's enough. When I felt it was enough, that's when,
Okay, so I got to ask you this question. I'm a firm believer, and I always say, you accept what you expect. So I'm gonna say that again because I need you to digest where I'm going with this.
Okay.
You accept what it is that you expect, and it sounds like you said this is not the first guy who's cheated on you. You've been through this time and time and time again. Do you think, and I know people are about to kill me in the comments because I don't want to blame the women for what a man has done, but do you think in some way you invited this in because it's what you were expecting anyway? This is what men do. I've been through this time and time and time again, and this is just what a relationship is.
Yeah. Once I was really in it, because like I said in the beginning, I didn't think it was going to get serious. But once I was really in it and I did get married to him and I did look at him, this is my husband, I want us to be like, I take total accountability and I blame myself for almost everything that happened and all the pain I endured. It's my fault. Like, I know that. But again, it is like, when you ask me what would I have done differently, at the time, nothing. Now, I trust and believe me, I'm never going to be in that kind of situation ever again because I went through it and I know that that's not what I need and want and it wasn't healthy for me. So, I mean, it was my own fault because I guess like you said, I already expected it. I expected him to do all that stuff. So, now like my standards are different. Like I don't allow any of the things that people see me allow on TV. Matter of fact, I'm like almost the complete opposite. I'm like, I made a whole 360. Like, I know what I deserve. Like, and if you're not gonna give me. It's just like little things now. It's like literally, sorry, my kids are like jumping in the back.
My God, kids.
Yeah, quiet guys, I'm on live. But yeah, like I'm literally the opposite. I don't allow. Like you cannot. With me, it's gonna be tough for any man, and it's been tough for guys I've dated because it's been 5+ years that I've been like single and I've dated, and it's hard for them because I'm like I don't take no. You're not going. I don't know where you are at night. You think that's gonna fly? Never again. I've been there, done that. Never again.
Go ahead, Rich.
Nah, I mean, I'm gonna let you ask the question because I'm asking. Obviously, the questions are rhetorical. But what I will say to Amina is, when was it for you that you decided that this is no longer for me? Was it just a revelation that you had? Was it a moment that you were like, yo, I cannot accept this anymore? And this is at this point, because I mean, obviously I know your story. I know that when you left and went to Cali, I mean, we're friends, so I know everything. But for the people, I want the people to know, like when that moment that you had that revelation that you were like, yo, I'm done with this shit. I'm not letting this get away with this nonsense anymore.
It really was a build-up thing because the the more it would happen that I would feel that pain and I would be crying at home by myself, the more every time I was like, nah, I'm not doing this no more. I'm done. And then, you fall back into it again. And like every single time it happened again and again, it was like I was getting closer to really making it to moving on. But there was actually a scenario with my guys out of here. It was a scenario with my daughter. This one that's 7 years old now. And
Corey?
Corey, yeah, she was 1 at the time. I was still living in New York, still living in Yonkers. She was 1 year old, and she would be the only one that was there because Peter was never home. He was always out cheating and doing whatever. So I was with my 1 year old every day, all day, 24/7. And she would experience me at my worst and at my, when I would break down because I couldn't find him. And, I was just crying way too much. I knew it wasn't healthy. But when she started to see it and when she started to look at me in a weird way when I was crying, there was one moment she came up to me, she couldn't even speak yet. I was like crying and she took her hand and she did like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get away from here and out of here, and I'm going to do it this time. And that was literally the time that I actually did it. And I called the moving company and I booked a flight to LA to look at apartments. And that's when I decided to actually sign the lease and get out. And it was my daughter. It was my baby, my 1 year old. She wasn't even 1. She was literally like 7 months or something like that. Wow. And yeah, when she was giving me that look like, mommy, you're not okay. I did that. That was what I needed.
Wow.
Well, here's what I'll say. First and foremost, congratulations. You got out. I think that Peter, when we spoke to him, he acknowledged his wrongs. You're acknowledging what you could have did different in the relationship. But for any women who are watching, I think it's important for you to number one, know your worth up front. In your case, it took your daughter wiping your tears, right? For you to open your eyes and say, I can do better than this. I got to get out of this situation. I think for a woman going into a situation, it's very few things in this life, y'all, that really come out of the clear blue sky. More times than not, we see that disaster about to happen, way before it happens. We might choose to ignore the signs, but the signs was there. Like that check engine light, it be flashing, it be on. And we can choose not to take our car in to get it serviced, but one day you gonna go outside and that thing just ain't gonna start up. And I'm saying that to say, in your case, you kind of knew what you was getting into, right?
Yeah.
But for somebody who is thinking about getting into a situation, like, look at the signs in advance. If that check engine light is on, if the warning signs is there, trust your instinct. It ain't worth going through this hurt. It ain't worth you sitting at home wondering where your baby daddy is a few years later, and your 1 year old is wiping tears from your eyes. So when I asked the question, like, really, what would you do different? And what advice can you give to our audience? If I'm hearing it correctly, you're saying, look, know your worth up front, because it ain't worth going through this pain. And
know your worth, but it's still, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Be
Amina.
sure to like, comment, and
Know
subscribe.
your worth, and that's what one thing that people thought I didn't. But the thing is, it's easy to say know your worth. It's easy to say love yourself first. When you're in it, it's like, because I always thought I knew my worth and I don't deserve this and I'm better than this. But it's literally like, that's why I hate it when people called me dumb. What was dumb about that? I was just stuck. I was addicted. I needed help. Like somebody that's addicted to something else. Like, you need rehab. Like, that's really what I needed. That don't make me dumb. That just makes me addict. And so that's how I look at it. And that's how I felt while I was in it. Because my mind, and like, I knew like I deserve someone that doesn't hurt me like this. But it was still, the struggle was really walking away. And it's so easy for people to say, like, you're stupid for staying with him. No, actually, what is stupid about that? Tell me that. What is stupid about it? I know it's not good for me. I know, but people would always say, just move on, but they wouldn't tell me how. So that's why therapy came in. That's where therapy came in for me, because even when I moved away and across the country, I struggled for 2 years to move on still. Every time Peter would come into town to see the kids, we still be intimate for about 2 years, I want to say. And then I finally had the strength, thanks to therapy and to time apart and to me, just loving myself more via self-care, and to then say no one day. And the first time I said no, that was the last time anything ever happened. That's like almost 3-4 years ago. I felt really powerful and really strong. That's when I started getting to the other side. And that's when I started feeling like, it's like you were reborn, like, wow, seemed so impossible, and I did it. Like, I don't feel nothing no more. I don't feel hurt. I don't feel, when you get there. But it's just sometimes, I never thought about therapy like that. I really never gone to therapy until that heartbreak. But when you're at like such a low, like you're looking for anything to help you. And I really, talking to somebody that wasn't close to my, or wasn't family, wasn't my best friend, or like people that like have been saying the same thing over and over, but somebody outside, it was really helpful. I have to say, like, that was the first time I was like, oh, it can be a good thing. I did that for like about 6 months. And yeah, man, it was a journey, but I did.
Well, I tell you like this, and I thank you for even being so honest and open with us. And even when I was saying know your worth, I'm saying, and this is just from Sean's standpoint, Rich, you could join in from a man's standpoint. I always say, right, you can't do something to somebody that they don't allow you to do, right? And what I mean by that is you were already in it, but God willing, somebody out there, and that's why I was saying, look at the warning signs ahead of time. Don't even allow yourself to get in it, because if you don't cross that line, if you don't allow yourself to get in, then you don't have to worry about all of the heartbreak and all of the disaster. But the first time you get a whiff of it, especially from a dude standpoint, a dude is going to literally do what you, and I'm a man and I'm telling you the facts. A dude is going to do what you allow him to do. And Rich, if you think differently, chime in here. So I'm thinking for the next young Amina Buddafly out there who is, she's got a heart. It's not all the way invested in some man. She's not all the way there yet, but she's into this dude. She's digging him. But if you see the signs, you can't get in touch with him. Every time his phone ring, he quickly hitting that X button. Those are the signs. Don't get into it, because that is what you're going to be into.
Like something you have to experience. That's why, for me, I know now. Now I know, and when I see the signs, immediately I'm like, but I need it.
Well, that's what you learn. That's the hindsight. That is the hindsight.
This is the deal for me, and I'm coming from a different place, because I was kind of a part of this relationship with them, because they're both my friends. What I will say is this: Amina did what she needed to do on her time. Mm-hmm. And nobody can rush you into your time. You know what I'm saying? She had a baby with him, then she had 2. So it may have taken a little bit longer than if she was just free, willy-nilly, pretty ass Amina Buddafly, who all the dudes want. Under them circumstances, there's extenuating circumstances. So people must move on their own time. Right. That's when you've healed. That's when you've made a conscious decision to move on. It may have taken Amina a little bit longer than it took Sally down the block or Betty over around the corner. But she moved on her time, and she's better for it now. And now she's into a place where she's not taking no shit from nobody.
Thanks to that.
And thanks to that scenario, thanks to that situation.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And I used to get mad when people used to come at me and be like, yo, this, and the other. I'd be like, yo, chill. I'm not telling Amina to do anything. Because when Amina's ready to do what she needs to do, you know what she gonna do? She gonna do it.
Right.
She gonna do it. And on that note, Amina, I know you have another call at 8.
I do. I have another interview, but this is good.
I
No,
told
people.
you I wasn't gonna let you go over. So
No, all good.
sis, I love you.
Thank you. Thanks for these lives. This is great. This is what people like. Maybe somebody that isn't where I used to be, and they need that kind of conversation and to hear all these stories. And so it's great that y'all doing this.
Nah, thank you for coming on. We knew up front that you had another interview, but again, I thank you because somebody's out there. They just got exactly what they need to hopefully get the strength to move on. So I appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. All right, I'm out of here.
All right, Nick.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to 9 Mag TV.